Hey Ben, really glad to have you back on. Middle school janitor, and then started a high-paying career in technology sales. What would you say to those people since you have been through all these positions so quickly?
Yeah, so as far as that goes, one of the most important parts that I think people may not realize yet is really when you put all of this effort into practicing the skill of sales, you should put equally as effort into interviewing for the roles. Because if you can, I've been in interviews now where like because of all the practice we did in your course, and not to mention the sales skills that we learned to help us in the interview process, I can go into interviews with like if I've been in group interviews, right? It's not I'm like so far above everybody else because I just know all the answers. I know what to ask them. It's a lot. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest keys. If you're worried about not being able to get a position, do interview prep as much as you possibly can, and you will just make it. You have to make it unreasonable for them to not hire you.
Yeah, I mean, what was your offer rate when you were interviewing? It was you had 100% offer rate with like because you only interviewed with two companies, you got two job offers, Clovers and Dun and Bradstreet, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so let's say you say, screw this company, I want to go into a tech sales SDR position. What do you think your offer rate would be? Let's say if you interview with 10 companies, how many offers do you think you could secure?
I'm going to be a little bit bodacious here and say about 100% because that's I have had four positions the past year, but I've interviewed for about 12 and I've gotten offers on every single one.
Every single interview you've been
Everyone.
on got an offer.
Yeah. People
And you,
underestimate how good being good at interviewing is.
especially for sales, I mean, if you can
Yeah.
interview well, I mean, sales and interviewing are essentially the same thing.
Go
You're
hand in hand.
closing
Yeah.
the deal with yourself, you're closing the deal for a product. So
100%. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, for all the people listening to this, because we've actually had people complain that they're like, I have like a master's degrees, and I've interviewed with so many companies, they just won't make me an offer. I'm like, look, companies don't care about your degree. They don't care about your previous work experience. Like people say, I've had previous sales experience, so I'm still interviewing with companies and I'm not getting offers. They don't give a shit about your previous sales experience. They care if you're a really good interviewer, which means you're going to be really good at sales. So
100%.
for everyone watching this that's already in the course, listen to Ben. He's a college dropout who is working as a middle school janitor. Every company he's interviewed with, from startup to Dun and Bradstreet, Fortune 500, he's gotten an offer from. I believe we still have a video of you, Ben, in the course as an example for how to interview, since you did become so proficient at
I
interviewing.
we do. I actually checked that video out not too long ago, and I think it needs to be updated. I'm way better now.
Yeah, so even back then, it's like when you're just interviewing with companies, you were still extremely proficient, but it's a learned skill. I mean, were you always proficient with interviewing?
No, not at all. And where I'm at in that video on your course was only like 2 weeks of practice.
Something like that. Yeah, you went from like 0 to 100 in 2 weeks.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can get very proficient at the skill where like most people are at like a level 2 or 3. You can get to level 10 in just a couple of weeks and you're already outshining everybody else.
For
And so, and
sure.
all it is just researching companies and looking up videos on good questions to ask, what questions to be ready for, preparing your answers. It's not even that hard, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, interviewing, it's more than just for sales roles too. I mean, right now we're hiring like software developers, product managers. I mean, all these pretty high paying roles. And how well someone interviews is still a pretty decent reflection of how well they're going to do in the role. How well do they communicate? How curious are they? I mean, these things are important and the interview is a good signal for that. So if you're really good at showing all the right signals in the interview, then you're going to get offers left and right for all types of roles, not just sales roles. But for sales roles, it's particularly important that you interview well, since it is a direct reflection of how good you're going to be as an SDR.
Absolutely.
And Ben, would you have any advice for someone who's currently on the fence about enrolling in course careers? So they're probably watching this to give you some context, thinking like, okay, I've been watching all these course careers testimonies, people who landed jobs, but what is it actually like in the role? I mean, can you give us a quick day in the life? Like, what does a day in the life of Ben look like now? Are you going to the office? What do you do every day?
Well, I'm totally remote, so this is my office here. And yeah, so when I was working at so me personally, like I really like the vocal and the verbal communication part of sales. And so when I was working for Dun& Bradstreet, a lot of it was more of emails, cold outreach through like digital ways. And
Hmm.
not a lot of my time was spent towards like actually calling and talking to people. And so it was about 2 hours a day. So now in my current position, basically we have a whole bunch of leads that we have that we're able to reach out to. And I'll go through and like, I'll leverage different areas within the tech stack to help me get, a better edge one day or not, which is a little bit more in depth, but realistically, like I have some people that book on my calendar that I can reach out to. I have some people that are just a list that I can reach out to, and I just call people and I just talk to them and see if we might be able to help them. And if we can, great, let's send you on. And if we can't, that's okay.
Hmm.
And then also just like, well, one of my favorite parts about the company I work with now is that we have constant learning and improvement within the team. And so every morning, once or twice a day, we'll hop on for 30 minutes and do some trainings and stuff like that. I don't remember where I heard it, but if you're using an axe every day, you might as well sharpen it in the morning. you know, so it's helped out a lot. But for me, I mean, I'm in a really great place now. I'm talking to people constantly. Obviously, if you're a closer, you're going to be talking to people a lot more than as an
Yeah.
SDR. But and that is in my future. But that's pretty much the day
Mhm.
of the life is just calling people and talking to them.
Yeah, that doesn't sound too bad. I know some people are like deathly afraid. They're like, "Oh, sales, you're gonna have to make cold calls," which you are. But I mean, do you enjoy your job then?
Yeah, no, I actually love cold calls. So a lot of people do end up being on that spectrum of like, I'm okay with the emails and the text messages or whatever, the LinkedIn messages, but I just don't want to call people. I was the other end of the spectrum. I loved calling people. I wanted to talk to people, but I didn't really want to like formulate an email. And so eventually I got really good at both. And for me, see, I to speak on like getting over your fear of cold calling people, I might not be the best person just because I never had that fear. But when it comes to
Mhm.
emails, like I never really feared emails. I just hated doing them. For me, what helped
Yeah.
me is just creating a huge like Word document of different syntaxes and templates that I can go to and organizing them in a way that's very easy to pull from and things like that, which
Hmm.
you wish you had day one, but it is something you have to build. And once you do build it, you're like, I got this figured out,
Yeah, I mean, once you start working the role, you develop processes for yourself to make yourself more efficient. And the really good thing about sales too, since it is like purely results oriented, if you're just really good at your job and deliver a lot of results, I mean, I just talked with one of our previous students. He's at like 300% of their quota, and he's like the
Nice.
most relaxed he could ever, and 300% for the quarter too. It's like the most relaxed he could ever be because it's like, oh yeah, I mean, I could probably just stop working for the rest of the week and no one's gonna say a thing, which
Yeah,
is actually true in sales. Uh,
100%.
so yeah, I mean, being quota carrying, being results oriented, it could be a really good thing because it is absolutely no stress after you've hit your quota and you start making a lot of money after you go past your quota. So you're not limited by anything. So for everyone watching that, it's like, I don't want to cold call. I don't want to be on a results oriented payment plan. It's like, no, the results oriented could be a very positive thing. As an entrepreneur, I'm purely paid based on results, and it's been working out
Right.
extremely well for me. So
100%.
sales is probably as close to entrepreneurship as you can get. Would you say
Oh
that,
yeah, I
Ben?
would agree. 100%. And
Mhm.
for me, like from what I've been able to see, sales is probably the best way to get into entrepreneurship just because it has such a clear cut path to leadership and how to lead and build a team and build a product and things like that. And so,
Mhm.
I mean, it is one of the most valuable skills you could have, in my opinion, in life, but in business as well.
For sure. I definitely would not be in my position today. Course careers would have never even gotten started if I didn't have sales skills. Everything
100%.
about course careers started with my sales skills, and
Wasn't
I've been
just
able
an
to leverage
idea.
those to get to where I am now. So,
Yeah. Cool to
yeah,
think about though, for sure. And
yeah,
I'll be there one day. I'll be running my own company doing something and I'll be using my sales skills to get there. But for now I'm
for
just
sure.
honing craft.
Yeah. And is there any single piece of advice that you'd like to give to someone who still hasn't enrolled in course careers, but they're thinking about it and they want to change their life for the better?
I would say realistically, um, if you do invest into course careers, and or even if you're on the fence, just you need to really look at it as in a skill that you are developing that nobody can take away from you. Like I know that if I lost my job right now, I have the sales skills and the interviewing skills to go out and get a job tomorrow or within a week. And nobody can take that away from me. The only way they can take it away from me is if they like cut my jaw off. And even then I'll be here with my body language. So just think of it as an investment into something that you'll never lose. As long as you come in and you actually learn the skill, you're not going to lose.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's no more security than knowing that it doesn't matter what happens in my current job. I could immediately get another job, probably a better job, within a week.
Yeah, that's the true level of freedom there, and job security is just knowing that I don't need to rely on the company to succeed because I can already succeed myself.
Exactly. Well, thanks for sharing the update, Ben. This has been extremely helpful. And I know students love hearing these stories. And just thanks again for doing this.
100%. Loved it.